Thank you. My name's James Whiting. I'm from MyKindaFuture. We're a social enterprise that connects young people with business, and last year we delivered 1,100 workshops in schools around the countries. So we have an equally wide network. And really my question is about supporting resource-poor schools and teachers, and what can private sector do to support them? Because we always hear from the government that they need to be doing more, business needs to be doing more, but what actually practical solutions can they offer to help us to deliver into schools? Because, for example, our research showed with the new computing curriculum that 74% of teachers felt completely uncomfortable with the new curriculum, and 54% of them thought that the students knew more than them themselves. So, the real challenge there is supporting the teachers, but what practical solutions can business provide that can be delivered in face-to-face workshops that will inspire young people?
Right, I'm just looking around. Do you want to pick up on that?
Yeah, if I can. What we have found works the best is getting our people involved in that sort of thing. Over the years, as we've looked at doing charitable activities, I get requests for I'm donating money to this, that, and the other all the time. What we look for is things that our employees are going to enjoy doing and something that resonates with what ARM does. And when you find that, then it really does unlock the passion of our people, and they want to get involved and they want to go volunteer. So, I think a very practical step is for businesses to go and look at what you do, as we do, look at what our people are interested in, and connect those dots together. And we find people volunteering all the time across all our locations around the world, getting involved in local activities. The co-club work I mentioned earlier. We have a whole lot of our people involved in the Prince's Trust, putting together programs there, and people love doing it. Our employees are prepared to give up their time to go and do it. So I think it's finding that thing that your company is really interested in, and harnessing the power of the people that work for you.
Yeah, I would say, so I work in New York City, and it's all under-resourced schools. In the public school sector. And I think figuring out for a company like ARM or any other company how to adopt a whole school approach, so it's not just one superstar teacher who's reaching out and getting that special thing that the kids want, but more of a collective approach amongst the schools, so that all of the grade 6 teachers get together and they get an infusion of different employees coming in and working on a single project is very, very useful, because when you just have one little piece coming in and there's just that one connection, it's not particularly sustainable as opposed to having a larger, more collective group that are working on something. And I think also bringing in employees, and then if there's a way to do some sort of attachment to a school of education, I think that also works really well to have sustainable support. I know in the US our biggest problem is teacher retention, so it's something like 50% of all new teachers drop out after it's 3 or 5 years. So coming up with stability within a school group and a culture that's used to partnering is really useful. And I think also for us, when we send scientists in, we really want to work with schools who have some degree of stability, so who have sort of discipline that's taken care of, and that aren't, so our volunteers aren't going to walk into a potentially violent situation or a situation where the kids are really focused on just getting enough food during the school day, something like that. So we have some pretty serious problems in New York City, and looking at a whole school approach, I think, is something that's been particularly successful.
Yeah, I think it comes back, doesn't it, as you're saying, like for whoever is going into the school to feel that they understand, and that is about communication, isn't it, with the school, to understand what's going to work for this group of students, because a group of year 5 is going to be very different to a group of year 11, and yet sometimes and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but there's a massive enthusiasm by companies to go into a school, but actually when they arrive there, they can, if they're not, haven't been given that help, find themselves, having a less than good, experience.